Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Super excited to get another session going here with Bits of Wealth. We'll be doing some market reviews today. Looks like markets are crashing right now. Um, so would be glad to go over chart setup, see what we are looking at. Bits, how are you doing today? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I'm doing well. Doing
Awesome.
well in a short position, just enjoying the ride.
Amazing, amazing. Really excited to dive into this. Just want to put it out there that anything that we discuss here today is not financial advice. It's purely for educational and fun purposes. We are going to be drawing lines, of course, like we always do, and looking at some charts and having some fun here. So, yep, Bits, take it away. I'm going to add your chart to the stage while I start
Cool.
posting the links everywhere. Thanks.
Perfect. And I'll keep an eye out for that so I can repost that as well. Um yeah, so let's see. All right, cool. It's up. So let's zoom out a little bit because I've been just kind of playing some of the intraday stuff, but let's zoom out on BTC. First update, I guess, to give is that we were talking about a sweep of this level for a little while now. I think we've talked about the potential for sweeping this level. We're getting that move right now. This has been the move over the last 24 hours or so, and the question is like, where does this end? Right? Is this going to come down and take the absolute low here of the entire range, or is it looking to maybe try and reclaim this? So still kind of paying attention on the lower time frames to see what happens here in this range. But currently that's a mean daily candle right there. That is a mean looking daily candle. um if we zoom out to a weekly time frame, um still really nothing has changed here. You've got this massive weekly range in terms of like this move here from the beginning of February, and we're still inside of that range. Bottom of that range is at 60K, top of that range is up at 79, almost 80K, and then we've got some key levels here at about 72 to 74 that we'll be watching. So but everything in here is just kind of chopping around. At some point I do expect that one of these extremes will be hit. So either we'll see a move up to the upper extreme, or we're going to see a move down here to this lower extreme of this weekly range here. So just paying attention to that. This is, again, for those of you that kind of been keeping up, like this is an example of what some traders call like a mother bar, right? So it's like a mother bar range where it's like you've got a large directional candle on a higher time frame that then gets a bunch of inside bars, meaning subsequent candles that don't breach the outside of that original range, right? They don't go below the low, they don't go above the high. It's kind of what we're doing right now. So it's interesting just watching it. Not something I not something I really had paid a lot of attention to until I had a friend bring this up and say, "Hey, check this out." And then I kind of studied it enough to pay attention to it. I don't know that I'm like incorporating this as like a primary part of my strategy. Not yet, at least, but it gives you a range, right? It gives you a range to be monitoring there. So, and there's a lot of other uh styles that kind of focus on key ranges like that, right? Critical range theory. There's quite a few other ways that they're called, and they basically just look at, okay, what's a big high time frame candle, or whether it's like a 3 month range or something like that, and then they find the high, find the low, wait for liquidity to be taken on one side, and then look for that reversion to the other side. So, but zooming back in, I mean, look, we're down below these lows. We knew it would take some momentum to get down and through here. We knew there was going to be potentially some liquidations that would take place if we got to move down here, right? Because you got to think, right? Like, as these lows form here, what is the market doing? The market is stacking a bunch of long positions and short positions, both, right? But they stack positions here at the bottom of this range, and their stop losses for those long positions and those liquidations usually are all found here. They're usually found here, right below that. So as this is coming down, it's wiping all of that out. So as you're basically cleaning out all of these long positions from previously. So that's what we're seeing here. Right now, this move is still very much active and in play. I really don't see anything here yet that is screaming that buyers are stepping in a significant way, that we've got any kind of demand that's actually taking part here. You can maybe start to say that there's some of this selling is being absorbed on like the super low time frames, but we'll have to see. I think it's a little bit early to say that just yet, but there's definitely some signs of that potentially here. If you're using the gentleman suite indicator, which is the one that I use and talk about all the time, shout out to Ash. We did get this nice little reversal outline on this candle. It is a bullish engulfing candle, right? So it's bigger than this previous red bar, has a nice wick to the underside, and it did fire both a bottom and a extreme signal here at the low. So we'll see if this thing, that doesn't mean it's calling the precise bottom, but it does start to show that, potentially something could reverse. So even if this were to come back down one more time, either to form like a double bottom, or even if it were to just sweep that low one more time, like this is still starting to kind of signal to us that we need to pay attention here. So ultimately though, you've got some clear levels. I mean, if you were to get a move above that, you can probably look for a trade here using the information here on this little candle set, and then you're targeting roughly about here, as kind of like a range high if it were to show up. So paying attention to it, we might get it here. You might also get that close above the 13 EMA here on the M15. So potential trade here could look something like this, and then you're targeting up here towards the beginning of this range, right? It's a nice 3R trade if it confirms and if it plays out. And if you happen to catch it a little bit later, it eats a little bit of that. But overall, it's still over a 2R trade. Still looks pretty clean. You'd have to put your risk down here to kind of start eating away at that, and you'd have to get a pretty bad entry to start losing what is like about a 2R trade. So not looking bad. There's a fair chance that could play out if we don't keep melting down. So watching that there. Last time I tried to push up, though, I did get that big rejection here. That initial reaction at the EMAs was a rejection. So let's see what happens. Could be the case to start maybe a little foot soldier position even, but may need to go down to like a 5-minute to make that. Yeah, I think if it closes here on the 5-minute above the 21, I may consider throwing in a foot soldier there. Because this move here did just sweep that. You have bullish engulfing. It's not looking bad. It's not looking bad. We'll see. Ultimately, that 15-minute confirmation is what I really want. But this isn't looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
Basically dug in here. It would need to, like the structure, if I took a foot soldier here, structure would be that it needs to hold above that, maybe as low as here, kind of where the volume starts to come back in. And then again, you're only targeting up here, maybe even here actually as like a 66.2 off of this wick high here. But we'll see it. Well, if we get that 15-minute confirmation, this could be a nice little just intraday counter trend trade to scalp. And then, as we get up here, could be reason to be looking for shorts again. You got a 1-week rolling VWAP up there. You've got the top of this range. I don't have the EMAs enabled, the other ones, but let me go do that really quickly. I'm going to enable some of this stuff as well, so I can just take a look at that, get a little more information, so we can paint a full picture here. Okay, going back to the M15. Yeah, so you have 200 EMA is going to be coming up over here at this range. 100, the 50s right here, right near previous week low. Okay, that's an interesting level to keep an eye on, around 65.6. So yeah, I mean, if you were to get a confirmation here, right? If this comes up, we get the ability to enter, we set our stop here at about a 1-to-1 previous week low. It's also the 50. It may be a good place for me to be looking at TPing, at least TP1 and then seeing if I can't get a little runner piece up here, Lady Trader, to like 66.5 maybe
Mm-hmm.
for a quick trade. So
Yeah.
um,
Depends on the M15
yeah,
confirmation though. And
100%.
maybe, yeah,
Yep.
and maybe even 65.1, like a break of that, because oftentimes it will just come in and do your,
Yep.
M13 close and then again roll over. So I don't know. I'm still bearish looking at this bits.
Yeah, no, look, I still have an open short position. So I'm saying
Yeah.
this is just like someone who hedges and scalps. And a lot of times when I take a scalp long, sometimes I have a short that's currently open, and sometimes I'll be taking shorts while I have longs open. So this is purely from like day trading and just me looking to take a quick trade. If it sets up right now, it still has not set up. Still has
Yeah.
not set up. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm happy to trade whatever's in front of me. I'm happy to be short right now. That's playing out nicely. But I do feel like this is again, like this just goes back to what I've said over the last week or so, and really probably over the last 2 weeks of streams that we've done in spaces, which was I was looking for a sweep of these lows, right? I've talked about
Mhm.
that many times. Sweep these lows, and then I will look for a reclaim to potentially take it back up. I still think this is a very interesting area up here. If it does it here, I'm willing to play. If it wants to come down here and do it off of this low, I'm willing to play as well. It just I'm waiting for the setup, you know.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
But yeah, happy to hand it off, Lady Trader.
Yeah, let me
That's
go
pretty
ahead
much all
and
I'm looking at for BTC.
perfect. Let me go ahead and bring up my screen here. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna start with BTC, of course. So let me see. Perfect. Okay. So looking at BTC, I'm gonna actually bring up the index. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the daily chart on this one. All right. So if you guys remember, we were talking about this. I've talked about this quite a bit. This pattern where the market gives you sort of like a very clear W, right? Like a double bottom. And this is very, very exciting whenever retail traders see that. And markets will give you these really beautiful, perfect looking W patterns. You have to kind of think of it this way, that what is the overall trend, right? So if the overall trend is down, which we are in a bear market, markets are going to give you these fake looking W's quite a bit. But actually, in reality, they're just trying to induce buyers and then crushing you. And so if you guys remember last week when Bits and I were streaming, I did mention to you that there were these W patterns that I'm seeing that are very, very clear, and markets are going to be coming for them, right? Remember, this was the W that I was talking about. I said this is going to be broken. This was a beautiful W that was going to be broken. And there was a breakout trade under it. And then I said, we were not here yet, right? We were not here yet. And I said, this is another W that now I'm targeting. And so if I was to take a breakout trade, I did say that my breakout entry will be here and my stop loss will be here, and it will give us a 1-to-1 trade. Okay. And that's exactly what it did. Actually, let me go back to see if I can find what I had. I had some levels drawn as well, if I can find those. Let me see here. I know I did it on one of the charts. But basically, what we were saying is that this is going to be broken. And it did. It broke, right? We had this level taken. And then look at what actually happened here, too. We had a pretty awful crash after that, right? And so that's what's happening right now. Is if you did take this this trade right here, and then we were targeting this area right here potentially, and that's exactly what it did. It took the liquidity below this level, which is what we saw. That okay, this is probably what's going to happen. It's going to get there about 64.5, right? This is what we called out, that it's probably going to target that 64.5. maybe go a little bit above after that, and then roll over. And that's exactly how it's playing out. Now, one thing to remember whenever we are in a pattern like this, because that's what's happening on the daily chart right now. We had a lot of people who bought here because this was the support. We had a lot of people who bought here because, man, this is a very clear double bottom, right? It even made a little W pattern. So where are those people putting their stop losses? Of course, they're going to be putting it, some of those stop losses are going to be here, and then of course some of them are going to be here. And so to me, it's looking like further downside here. We could potentially really take this out. And it's also funny because if you did take a short here, which again, breakout trades could be very risky. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know your invalidation criteria, which is why I don't openly just give out these trades and say, hey, this is how it's going to be. You have to be very cautious with them. But if I was to take a breakout trade here, my stop loss would be here, and I'm targeting around 59K. That's basically how I would trade it, unless there was certain invalidation criteria, in which case I would get out before it hit my stop loss, which is why I hate to give these during a live session because it does require a lot of management. But to me it looks like it's about to roll over. Fundamentals are not the best right now either. Too much uncertainty everywhere. Weekly, I've talked about this quite a bit. The weekly chart, when you are under 200 EMA, this is not good news. You're spending way too much time here. I keep bringing it up. This is one reason why I cannot go long. I cannot get myself to go long here because of this. And now that we closed below 200 EMA over the weekly chart, right? If the weekly closed here somewhere, right, 70, or even like, anywhere here and maybe a little bit green, I'd be much more willing to take a long trade, maybe to 80K or something like that. But that's not the case here. And so when you see a pattern like this, usually it will chop here, and then boom, it's like a major crash off of that. So that's really what I'm looking for right now, is a more downside before we see any upside. And again, the upsides are going to be pretty limited during the bear market, right? Until the end of the year, until October minimum. And so it is coming down very fast. Bits was actually talking about it as well during our spaces that we had recently, this morning actually, with Wolf Team, where Bits mentioned that something very important. It was like, how quickly did we have that 52% crash this time versus what happened during 2022 crash? And so that's a good thing to remember, because we are definitely getting there a lot faster. It seems like we're not all that far from even this trend line. And if we get there sooner, that's not good news at all, because even though we are going to get a bounce off of this trend line, which I'm ready to buy when we get to this trend line. We might even go lower than that if it gets there sooner. If it gets there in October in this box is ideal, because then I'll be much more confident than I will be if it gets there, let's say over the next couple of months. But it's crashing a lot faster than it did last time. And even last time we had this pattern here, it consolidated for a pretty long time. And I was hoping that we would see like at least one green month, which we did not see it. It's been straight red months for Bitcoin, but it was a very similar pattern. It just wasn't, it didn't last as long as this consolidation did, because there were two consolidations. There was this consolidation and then this consolidation, which took a long time to play out. That was not the case this time. And so very, very interesting stuff that's happening in the Bitcoin world. I do want to mention a couple of other levels that I'm watching very closely. These are going to be the fib levels. We are like, this is your entire, on the yearly chart is when I have basically drawn this fib level. So this is going to be pretty strong. And we actually had a bit of a retracement off of this, right? This was your 0.5 fib level. The next one that's coming up is going to be this one, 0.618. Again, we could go a little bit under it, right? But this level will give us a little bit of a bounce away, because it is under your 50K level. It is going to be taking out this liquidity here, right? So this is going to be a pretty interesting level to actually play out. And it's been working out well too. Like, we had a bit of a support here. For this one, it didn't really have much of a support here, but not a lot of people even use 0.382. We had a bit of a support here. So I'm thinking that there's going to be, even if it's a short-term bounce, we could get, a nice little bounce here. But really between here and there, do you think I'd look for a buy opportunity? Probably not. I don't think it's going to be, I would like for it to take this completely, right? Hit this liquidity and hit this level. And then maybe, maybe even go as high as this, right? Maybe go as high as this level here. So yeah. And then of course, if we do get an upside here, like magically, if we get a miracle and we start to go up, miraculously and create some green momentum here, then of course, it could go as high as this one, 77 or 73 here. So these levels definitely I'm watching, but I'm betting that there's going to be more downside than we see any more upside. So that's my take on BTC. It's looking very ugly. It's coming down fast, faster than anyone really anticipated. It's not consolidating much. Even if it is consolidating, it's not like, multiple months where you have like 3-4 months of consolidation. It's like, few weeks of consolidation, which is okay. Maybe, 1.5 months max, something like that. But yeah, you're going to have to watch out for these because monthly candles are coming down very, very fast, not looking very good. So that's Bitcoin. Like I said, not interested in going long right now unless it's a very, very solid pattern. I think we're going to be sweeping to the downside pretty quickly. And look at what also just happened, right? Bits of Wealth. I know he has a short position already. He's looking for some more upside, but he was waiting for confirmation, which hasn't happened yet either. Like we are waiting for a confirmation for the price to actually close above the 65K, and that could potentially be a little long trade, maybe for a 1-to-1, maybe even 2-to-1 if you're lucky. But look at what's happening right now. It's not confirming. So momentum is still to the downside. So keep an eye on that one. Solana, I did say on Sunday that I feel very, 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 very confident that we are going to be hitting probably $10 or so. I feel like this is where it's headed. I feel like this is the box where we are headed, right? So it could be $13 to about $7. I think it's gonna get under $10. I think that's where Solana is headed. Why? We talked about it a little bit already, but I'm gonna add some more details here. We had a high here in 2021, and then we had a high here in 2025, but it didn't really close above this, right? It wicked to the upside, which tells me that this is a giant multi-year M pattern, right? Now, to add to that, you also have a triple top right here. Or I'm sorry, this was not a double bottom. This is double top, not double bottom, right? This is an M pattern. So this is your multi-year M pattern. You also have a monthly, multi-month triple top. Okay. With this clear break of the neckline. And when you see a pattern like this on a smaller time frame, let's say if I was trading this on M15, I will not be buying anywhere here. None of you will be. Like if you guys have seen us trade market maker method or ICT, this is not like on an M15, you won't be buying this. You'll be staying in short position until you get there. That's basically how it would play out, right? And so I am very confident at this point that Solana is definitely going to end up here. It's definitely going to go to this box here and likely going under $10. That's what I'm very, very confident about it. Okay. Because that's really the pattern that I'll be looking for if I was trading on a smaller time frame. Now, could it just maybe go to 20? Maybe, yeah. That's this is an acceptable level, but I think they are going to take some. They're going to take the liquidity here, just like how they took the liquidity, how the markets took the liquidity to the upside. The markets are getting ready to take the liquidity to the downside. So it might, I'm definitely watching. Again, what my strategy is going to be, I am not going to be focusing too much on the price. I'm going to be focusing on the timing, right? So if we are in October and we are still sitting here, $17 to $20, I'm going to buy. I'll be okay. I'll keep some stable coins, right? In case it comes down more. But this is where I'll be, I'll start buying in October. So, And maybe we will even be surprised. Maybe it even gives us a better entry than what I just mentioned, right? How low can Solana go? You don't know. Now, if it's sitting here in this box in July or June, am I going to buy? No, because for me personally, it's timing over price. So if we get there early, there's going to be a bounce of some sort. People are always going to buy Solana at these levels. But if we get there sooner, I'm going to be cautious. And it's okay because, what happened with Ethereum last time, Ethereum created a bottom in summer. It did not create a new bottom in November where Bitcoin did in 2022. Okay. Solana was crashing with Bitcoin. Ethereum did not crash with Bitcoin. It already created its low in summertime. And so that means when I got into Ethereum, I got in a little bit higher, right? I did not catch the exact bottom on Ethereum. So that's always a risk, but I'm still going to be erring on the side of caution. I'm still going to be waiting for October to buy and DCA and start to DCA in October. So that's going to be my game plan. And I'm hoping that markets give me this box or, anything under, send it wherever it needs to go. I'm okay with that, but I'll be buying Solana when it gets there. So bottom line, I'm not interested in buying at these levels. Not really. It's going to give us a little bit of a bounce here and there. Yeah, it will, but it's not going to be very significant. So if it gives me a big bounce, like, if it was to go somehow to this yearly high or yearly open or even here, I'm more interested in shorting it than, buying the upside because it's risky. In bear market, you want to trade with the trend and you trade with the market makers basically, right? So markets are going to be bearish until the end of the year. So that's going to be a much better trade for me. That's just following historical data. So that's really what my take is on this one for Solana. Ethereum, let's take a look at that one very, very quickly. Ethereum is going to get into, I feel like we're going to get into this box before October. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe we get some upside here, but I just feel like it's going to get into this box before October. And at that point, I'm not interested in buying. I'm going to be waiting for a much lower entry if that's the case. Again, it could, like what it did here back in October, right? I did not have a perfect bottom. I bought somewhere here, like, November and December. So it wasn't like a perfect nailing down the bottom. It was still a good entry. So maybe it will do something like this. But again, if I was trading, and I've said this about Ethereum, if I was trading this on an M15 chart, I probably will not be buying at this level. I'd be expecting it to go a little bit lower. So we'll see how this one plays out. Wherever it goes really is going to be, if it bottoms out here, right? If it bottoms out here, of course, this is going to then act as a major resistance. It will be very difficult for it to break to the upside. Same if it goes here. Which is going to be a much better entry. I hope that we get there. I don't know if we are going to, but this one and this one are going to be a much better entry. And this is also, let's take a look at this. Let's see if even the liquidity was taken. It was not actually taken. And look at this one. This is also a really beautiful W pattern, right? Double bottom. Usually a pattern like this, it's broken, like I said, on a smaller time frame. This is a monthly time frame. So we'll see. But there's a lot of liquidity here too. So we'll see. I mean, this is like we are talking about under $100, right? Which again, Bits has explained to us a lot better with his inverted charts. When I talk about it right now, a lot of you are going to be like, what the heck? Like it can never go this low, right? Because this is not possible. But we'll see. I mean, time will tell how low we can go on Ethereum. But definitely this box coming very soon. It's going under 4 digits, right? So we are going to see triple digits very soon on Ethereum. If we get there before October, I bet we are mostly going to be going a lot lower than that. So I'm not interested in buying in this box unless we chop here until October, in which case it's okay. I don't think that's going to be the case. Even Vitalik is selling his Ethereum. So Dev is selling, right? So who the heck are we if the dev is selling? So let's see. Bits, anything else that you want to add to that?
No, not in terms of your takes. I think they're good takes.
Okay. but yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. Are you for bits for your short position?
Yeah.
What exactly are you targeting? I'm gonna actually bring up your charts.
I'm targeting when it's reverses and goes long. I don't know. I don't know. Now look, I think initially I'm looking at that 60K low
60K.
down
Okay.
here. Yeah, I want
Mm-hmm.
to see it take that out.
Mm-hmm.
My next big zone is down here under 55, around 55, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it dips all the way down there, then cool. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to take a significant portion of that trade off here at about 60K. And then I'll leave a little runner piece on in case it goes. But a lot of times, what I end up doing, lady traders, like when these are coming
Mm-hmm.
down,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just over time kind of just tightening up my stop loss.
Yeah, that's a
And
good idea.
then as I scale into long positions like that, the short gets stopped out and I'm okay because I'm already long type
Mm-hmm.
of idea, right? So but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Yeah, it's this right here is still signaling a lot of weakness, but again, I'm looking for like a combination of um I want to trade the range, but I'm also happy to do just like the little quick scalps that I can get in every single day to just put a little bit of money in my pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do the same thing with a lot of these other ones. Solana, same thing. Like even though it does look very, very ugly right here, um, it does seem to form nice ranges. Like it is tradable. So Solana is pretty tradable. A lot of the Bitcoiners actually like to trade Solana because it kind of moves like it's heavier than it actually is, right? It
Mm-hmm.
trades like it has so much more liquidity for some reason than
Mm-hmm.
it actually does. But I mean, look on Sol, you've got a very clean range still. You've got a top of the range here, bottom of the range about here. Um, if for whatever reason it cleans up to the downside, it could move back up to maybe the POC, maybe the middle of the range. If you're lucky, maybe the top of the range. So yeah, I look for opportunities just to trade these in either direction. Cardano's still kind of playing out with my thesis that I shared. Like nothing's really changed there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Are
still
you
want to
still
see.
long?
Yeah, I still have positions in Cardano, LTC, um, uh, AVAX, Link,
Okay.
and I had picked up some H bar and then I bailed on it because I'm like, I'm gonna wait on H bar. That one wasn't looking quite as good as I thought it was after I looked at some of the other ones. But yeah, with this one, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change my opinion and maybe be open to more downside in some of these Dino coins if depending on the monthly closes. So like Cardano, I'd like to see the month close above this October 10th or October of last year, the low of that, which is
Mm-hmm.
around 27.3, somewhere around there. We're currently below that. We're at 26.22. So, it has a little bit of work to do, but if it can, if it can get back above some of these levels, I'm willing to continue to kind of ride it out and say, okay, because my entry on that was like down here, so I'm still doing okay on in terms of that position,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to see it close the monthly below that because then I think the probability that it's going to come down and take these lows starts to increase, and then in that
Mm-hmm.
case, it's not significantly lower, but it's like why wouldn't I want to get it for 20% cheaper if I'm going to get it right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you have to consider like if it is going to take those lows, is it maybe moving lower still? So yeah, we'll see. I'm watching the monthly and I'm watching the 3 month. The 3 month still has a lot of time though. It has almost
Mm-hmm.
a little bit over a month to close that one, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
one has time. But
Man, this
that
one not looking
monthly,
good.
yeah, no, I mean it doesn't look, it doesn't look great, but the theory is here that if in the next 3 months it can kind of hang out around here and it can get a close within the range of this candle, then I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's a potential for a reversal. So it's like there's very clear defined criteria that I need for this to potentially do a mean reversion, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those, right? And it's still in the process of building it. So it's still very much early. Again, like here, I want to see these monthly closes above this yellow line is really
Mhm.
the criteria. You get one below that, and then we have to kind of reassess the potential that there's something happening here.
Mhm.
But
Uh,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna let the information tell me if I need to stay in it or get out. Right? Is pretty much what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let the chart do all the speaking. But yeah,
mhm.
high time frame, they all look horrible.
Yeah,
But
no, they do.
I mean, it looked horrible back here, and it still got a nice little pump to the upside, right? A lot of these alts have looked horrible this entire time.
Mhm.
Litecoin has looked horrible this
Mhm.
entire time. Litecoin has looked horrible, but it still has been putting in moves that are 100% in both
Yeah.
directions. So I think that's the thing to really have really clear is like when I'm talking about some of these positions,
Mhm.
you'll never hear me calling for new all-time highs on any of these. All I'm
Yeah.
simply calling for is that they can move from the bottom of the range to either
Mhm.
the middle or the top of the range, right? And then still
Mhm.
continue looking like shit. Like it is what it
Mhm.
is, right? They
Yeah,
could
yeah.
still
No,
look horrible, but there could be a play there in
yeah,
all the chop. So
I get that absolutely. I actually found one more chart that where I drew the lines last week. So I'm going to
Mm,
bring this up, and then bits. I also want to come back
yeah.
to you with a request that we had from one of our viewers. They wanted us to take a look at Link,
Yeah,
so
I remember
we
that.
could do the next. But I wanted to talk about this
Cool.
one. So I use like Coinbase chart, then I use Index for like my yearly fib levels, and
Yep.
Bitstamp is what I use on like a day-to-day basis. This is my favorite chart. So on Bitcoin, if you guys remember, I drew this box and I locked it up. Oh no, this one. I locked up this box, right? So I drew this one last time. I said let's lock it because this is where price is headed next. I drew this line here and I locked it as well. And I said when price gets here, this is going to be a breakout trade. Whenever the price gets here, it's it's going to basically go into the box, and then it's going to have some sort of a bounce off of it. And then I did say maybe it won't go very high, right? It will probably be just here and then maybe it roll over, but there's going to be some sort of a bounce. And look at what happened. Fast forward it. I'm going to unlock this box and I'm going to extend it out, right, just for this purpose only. But this is when when we are drawing the lines, pay attention, because these lines are, we know how to draw them. We know what we are looking for. But the reason why I had this, remember, is because of this W pattern, which I said will be broken. And so of course it did not get broken right away, right? It wasn't like I was hoping it will get broken. If it did get broken, the trade was going to be here, right? I said this was the trade that I was interested in when we break this and then take profit in this box. And look at this one. I mean, it didn't break right here, right? It went up. It went up. It doesn't
Yep.
matter because I was not in a trade. The trade was going to be when it breaks. It was a breakout trade. And look at what happened, right? It did give you that little breakout trade here. And then in this box, you take your profit, maybe look for a long opportunity, which it did give you, right? I said there's going to be
Yep.
some sort of a bounce here. And I said it very clearly. It's not going to be big bounce. But still, I mean, it was a nice little bounce here, right? So if you traded it exactly how we were drawing it, you caught both of these trades.
Yeah.
And so these breakout trades are very powerful as well. So yeah, I mean, these boxes, these lines that we draw, they work out as we anticipate. And this is the thing. You're making a very high probability guess. It's not a magic 8 ball that's gonna, just tell you everything that this is how it's gonna work. It's like you're taking a very high probability guess based on how much time you've had in the markets. This is not a guessing game. It's just a high probability chance that you're taking that, okay, this is how I've seen it play out like this in the past. I've seen it play out 85-90% of the time. I've seen it not play out 15% of the time, which means that maybe it won't. But then you're just putting your bets on being on that 85%, right? Or 90%, whatever that may be. And so this is really how you should be trading the markets. So yeah, Bits, that's really what I had for BTC. If you want to bring up your charts for Link, since there was a
Yeah.
request for that.
Cool. Let me make sure it's up. Okay, you already got it up. Perfect. Yeah, so Chainlink is kind of the same premise as like Litecoin and some of these other ones, where it's basically just going sideways. It's basically just going sideways over multiple years. And this one, what actually is a little bit different between some of the other ones is that it's actually pulling back to the top of another range. So you had this range down here, and then you have the current range that's sitting right above it, right? And we're back to the top of that previous range there. But yeah, Chainlink is similar in that you took out and you filled the entire October monthly candle, right? So this was that October wick. It's now filled that. So now it's taken out 2025's low, it's taken out 2024's low. It even dipped into prices that really you hadn't seen since like end of 2023, right? This was back here October, September of 2023. So cleaned up massively to the downside. Doesn't really have anything else below here other than you're about to break down and come back into this previous consolidation here at the bear market lows. So either we're seeing one of the longest forms of a breakout and retest type of situation, and then it's going to go higher. Either that is playing out, or potentially at some point you will lose that and you are going to come down here, right? But in the process of doing that, could you get one more move to probably about here? I'd say about 50% or so of that. Volume indicates that roughly around here is kind of where you'd be looking anyways. And could you even potentially get one last move up here near the top of the range? Like, it's all possible. As far as like high time frame zones, I'd say this is that big high time frame support that you've not moved into yet, but is just below price here. So if it is going to break down from here, and if it's not going to get a bounce, it's not going to give us the mean reversion that I'm kind of expecting on some of these Dino coins, then the big support area that you want to see, the value area, is going to be down here. It's like this is where you want to see it move down into here, which it would put Link below $6. Is really like the next place I'd be interested in. So I'm watching it here for a potential of a bounce, but again, like I want to see this monthly stay above those areas that it just swept. So I don't want to see, at no point do I want to see a monthly close, whether it's this month or next month, below these levels, below the October month low and below the 2024 low, because that's your 25 low and your 24 low. So right now it's good. Right now it's hanging in there, swept the lows, it's hanging out up there. You'll start to see signs on the lower time frames, right? So if we get a weekly close below these, I'll start to be very, very cautious. I'll start to say, okay, is this potentially going to build up and turn into a monthly close below that ultimately invalidates the whole thing? And it could. It absolutely could. So far, this is still looking weak, but I need it to show up and show some strength here by preserving these levels that it just swept. And if it does one more sweep of the lows, again, like I want to see a monthly close above that. Otherwise, I'm looking down here. So if it was to come down and still sweep all of this one more time, ideally you'd want a very fast recovery that puts it back above 2024 and 2025's lows. Otherwise, you should really be eyeing down here and you shouldn't be looking along. So the only way to really be getting into this aggressively, in my opinion, is you want to see weekly, monthly closes above here. And ideally, you want to see some strength come in. Like you want to see some kind of pop off of this that maybe pulls back, gets a little bit of airtime, and then comes back and like sits on some of those levels as potentially support. But because you want to see higher highs, higher lows, and we're not getting that yet. So yeah, hopefully that kind of breaks down both sides, as far as what could be happening on a bullish case as well as on a bearish case. And then also like what I would need to look for in order to really stay in this and not basically bail on the potential for a bounce.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was Link. Yeah, Bitcoin continuing to crash still 64.1 right
Yep.
now.
Looks like
64.1.
it's gaining a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, nice little momentum to the downside. Let's
Oh
see. I
yeah.
think yeah, it's
That
gonna
that last candle had some red to it.
yep,
Yeah.
it's gonna take this 59K.
Yep. Looks like it is.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'll mention a friend of ours who basically had a video that he posted back in October or November. It's now making more rounds around Twitter, where
I
he
saw
said,
that.
"You saw that." He saw that. He
Yeah.
basically said, "If you are selling, and we sold pretty high. We called the top.
Yep.
We sold at the highs, 118 to 126. We were out of the market, and this person was saying, if you have sold and you think you're going to be getting Bitcoin 50% or 60% discount, you better be prepared to take a big loss on that one." And look at where we are. We are already 50%. We are heading towards 60%. We are going to be 70% down very soon. That's basically what we want to see. And this is playing out. This is when, when it comes to markets, you cannot be arrogant. You have to be open to all the possibilities. There is really no ego that's tied to it. We are all here to make money. We all want to be right. I get that. You gotta be a good person. You just, yeah. It's just not, it does
I,
not
I
work out.
I will say props to him for not deleting it. I was kind of
Not yet.
half suspecting that he was going to delete it, and
Oh,
he hasn't yet. So
not yet, not yet, right? Not yet. So we'll see. I think people are going to clean up.
maybe that's
I'll,
the poly market bet is how low does Bitcoin go for him to delete it?
it's going to be fun. But yeah, I mean,
Mm,
this is a thing too, right? As a KOL, as a person, as a thought leader, you have a duty to tell people what you're seeing on the charts, how you're seeing it.
yeah,
And you also have a duty to keep your mouth shut if you don't know something. If I don't know something about, like, I'm not the best person to ask about capital rotation, so I'm going to
right.
direct you to go talk to Northstar about it, because that's not my area of expertise. I'm not going to try and become a capital rotation expert when I'm not. I have traded equities. I have a lot of experience trading options. I have a lot of experience trading commodities, lots of experience trading currencies, and lots of experience trading crypto. Capital rotation is not an area of my expertise, and I have not really paid attention to it. I can see it now on the chart, and I can talk about it now, but I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I'm going to direct you to Northstar and some of the other people who have expertise in that area.
It's always
So
mind blowing how
yeah,
many people think that like it's okay to suddenly position yourself as an expert on something that you have no
yeah,
idea, and
yeah.
and like they I don't know. Like I almost wonder are they mentally not all there that they like they have to there has to be a part of them that's like believing their own BS. And I'm like, how do you actually believe like that you think you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it just blows my mind. It's look, the world has a mental health crisis. I will continue saying that. And it
Hmm.
manifests in many ways. And one of the ways that it manifests is these KOL influencer accounts. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have two requests actually from our viewers. One from Semper, Lady Trader. If we hit the 30s before October, you still think it's going lower than that? I mean, if we hit 30s before October, I'd definitely be cautious at that point.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, it's going to go lower, because remember, timing over price. And you'll be pleasantly surprised when you go with that. At least I have been in the past pleasantly surprised, because it's beaten my expected entry, right? It was awesome during the last bull market and last bear market, because when 2022 hit, I had already like an Excel file of all of the altcoins and what price I actually wanted to buy them at. And
Mm.
man, it was like it gave me even better prices because I was waiting until that time. And so markets will always surprise you when it comes to historical data, and if you're following it. So yeah, if we hit 30s before October, um, I think it's gonna be, then we are looking at a much lower entry. Or it could play us like Ethereum did in 2022. I'm open to that possibility. Let's say if we are in 30s and then in October comes and we are sitting in 40s or 50s, am I gonna buy? Yes, absolutely. Depending on what the pattern looks like. I'll be cautious at that point, because now it's giving me another anomaly, right? we
Right.
saw something similar with the yearly close. So I'll be like, okay, now this is interesting. This is tricky. This is shady behavior, and I'm gonna be cautious. But yeah, definitely. And I see one request from CMB Bits. If you want to take that one, since you do trade metals quite a bit, silver. If you are keeping an eye on silver chart, we have a request from one of the viewers.
I haven't talked about silver on a stream in a little bit, but this was kind of what I was thinking in terms of like a high time frame,
Mm-hmm.
is that this touch up here was potentially the top, and so far it's held okay. It doesn't mean it can't come up there and still touch and maybe even put in a higher high. I think in the short term though, as long as we're above um as long as we're kind of holding above about here, which about $70 or so, I actually think there's a pretty decent chance that this thing is going to head back up near that high again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's kind of held here so far. That was the line I had drawn, and it's maintaining it swept to the downside. That looks pretty clean. At this point, like it just seems to me like it needs to come up there. How far above that though? That's the question. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like could it break? And this is a 12-month chart, by the way. So I'm on a 12-month here. Could it break significantly above that? Maybe. On the monthly. Again, you can have price that moves up through that and all of that, and then on the higher time frames, it just ends up being nothing but a wick. And again, like maybe maybe actually my channel needs to be adjusted, and maybe that's how to draw the channel there. But I found it interesting that when I anchored it off of the retest up here, not the initial blow off top, but the retest, it's actually precisely where it touched this last time. So I found that to be interesting there. So yeah, silver. Look, I don't think there's a lot of profit to be made. How can I put this? There's not a lot to be gained by trying to short silver, because if there is a larger capital rotation process that's happening, even if silver comes down, I think you're better off looking for opportunities to position for the next leg of this capital rotation process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're better off just kind of knowing, if it were to pull back, what are those key levels where I might want to add and pick up some silver. But yeah, that's not to say that there won't be some shorts that you could probably take in here. If you're looking to trade it, you absolutely must trade it. There'll be some shorts that'll probably set up. There'll be some longs that'll set up. But right now it's just ranging, guys. Silver is going sideways between 70 and about 88 or so. So until something really changes there, this thing could just keep kind of going sideways here and then eventually pick a direction. So, but yeah, to me it looks like if it holds 70, I think there's a decent chance it wants to go back up and attack that high again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Also, North Star, I remember one of his tweets, he mentioned gold to $12,000 over the next few years.
Yep.
If that's the case, then of course silver is going to go up high as well.
Right.
So I don't think I've seen anything about silver, his price prediction. Maybe something I'll ask him next. Maybe he posted it and I just missed it. But I'm interested to see what his overall prediction is for the silver top.
Like the extent of what I've seen him say in regards to like metals is that he did say, like, at one point, like, yeah, I don't think it makes sense to be buying them anymore right now until we wait either for time to pass or for it to pull back. Like, I do remember him saying that, and I think that that's where it's at right now, is like, like, I don't know, do you think a 30% discount is enough, or do you think we'll get one more move down here? You could probably pull some fibs on something like this and just find out what a 382, 236, or a 50%. 50% looks like it might actually be around here. Let's pull one really quick just for fun, just to see what that might look like. Fib retracement. Yeah, your 50% is right here. Interestingly enough, right at your 2011 high is about that 50% of this entire move. So that's kind of cool. Another way to draw this could be to grab it off of this here.
Mhm.
And same thing, that puts golden pocket right around that 2011 high. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of confluence down here near $50 or so for silver.
Mhm.
I think it'd be a great an opportunity to be looking at it if it were to come down there. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
but other
Ash.
than that, this thing looks crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is great. Thanks, Bits, for going over that.
Oh,
Silver, and we looked at Link. Ash has joined. Good morning, Ash. Be Tuesday for you already, my friend. My
yeah, he's
goodness.
in the
Happy
future.
Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. Um, I want to say one more thing. So I'm going to bring up my
Go for it.
charts.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so I know that there is a lot of stuff that's happening in the markets right now. One is about there's a fear about the war with Iran, or war with Mexico. Um, Regardless of what happens there, I want to say one thing here. War usually, if you look at the data, right? Like, just go back in history and take a look at it. War is usually good for the markets.
Yeah.
So that's, like, it's unfortunate, right? We could call it whatever. You could be emotionally impacted by it, all of that. When it comes to war versus trading versus whatever is going on in the world, I have to kind of compartmentalize. Either I'm going to compartmentalize and be okay and say, all right, I'm going to keep emotions aside and just focus on trading. And if it's too much, and then you just basically you don't do it. You're like, okay, I'm getting emotional here, so I'm not interested in trading. Just go away. Same like if something happens in real life and you're not feeling well enough. I remember when my father passed away back in 2013. I had to take a break because you can't do it, because what's going to happen is you're going to lose money, and then you're going to say, well, it's not as bad as losing a parent. It's okay if I lost a little bit of money, I can make it all back. And that's how you get destroyed in the process of trying to make it all back, because there's no making it all back. That doesn't happen. You have to move on. You have a loss, you move on, you look for another trade. If you have another loss, you move on, you take a look at another trade. The thought should not come into your mind that I'm trying to make up the loss. Anyway, the bottom line here, let's say if there's a war, usually what happens during the wartime, there is a lot of uncertainty at the beginning, right? Some crashes, and they recover very quickly. Markets recover very, very fast. So let's say that Bitcoin does crash here. There's some sort of a war or something major happening or whatever, and it does create a new low. It will recover too. It will be a temporary recovery, right? In this case, for Bitcoin, I can't speak for the overall for the markets, but markets usually do well. Just go back and do your own research on that one. Look it up, Google it, markets during war and how they react and how they are after a couple of years. Remember, we are going to be bottoming out in October regardless, and so for Bitcoin at least. But definitely take a look at how markets behave when the war happens. It's not what crypto Twitter is going to tell you, because crypto Twitter is going to tell you it's over, we are going to zero. That's not usually the case. There are big bounces that happen during a war scenario. So I just wanted to throw it out there, because the moment something like that happens, everybody's going to say Bitcoin to zero, and that's not going to be the case here. So absolutely wanted to bring this up a little bit. CMB, thank you for your kind words. Appreciate that. But yeah, that's all. Really, I'm looking for more downside. Bits is going to be 50s before 70s, my friend. 50s before 70s. If we
Man.
get to 70s again after that, which we may not.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see. But yeah, that's really all for today. Anything else from your side, Bits?
No, I think that was it. We covered. Yeah, I don't think I had anything else I was looking at. Yeah, no, I think that was it. Mainly, look, I mean, when the market's like this, I think BTC is more than enough to kind of keep us
Busy.
occupied. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. All right, let's get some of that downside. Let's get some of the really awesome discounts and sales on Bitcoin and Solana and Ethereum.
Yes.
And we are going to be gold. Generational entries coming this October, friends. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
I saw an interesting tweet about that. Maybe we'll
Uh-huh.
end on this, but it said this year's biggest bears are going to be the next cycle's biggest bulls, and it's true. People
Yes,
don't think of it that way, but that's what it is. It's like everyone that's talking about the buying significantly lower. What do you think they're going to do when it's up in the next few years? They're going to be the biggest bulls. They're going to be like, man, we bought the bottom, we nailed it, we're up big time, but people don't think about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Agree with you. And we are long-term perma bulls on BTC. We all like discounts. I
That's right.
do. I'm a woman. What do you expect? We love sales.
I'm
Get us
Hispanic.
that.
I love discounts.
You love discounts. We all love discounts. We all love discounts.
I love a good
You
sale.
have to be stupid to say, let's just buy at 125K.
Yeah.
Why would you do that, right? You're gonna wait for the discount. So that's just a human thing to do, is look for those discounts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. This was a lovely session. Bitcoin is crashing as we anticipated. I mean, there's nothing surprising. If you guys have been with us all these years, you guys knew this was coming. Most of you were prepared. And yeah, this is exactly how we wanted it to go, and it's playing exactly how we anticipated that it was going to play out. So thanks everybody for joining us today. We will be back again on Wednesday with another market review, and then again back on Friday with another FOMO Friday. Have a wonderful rest of the day and enjoy the markets. Thank you.
Bye, guys.